Let's roll. This is Countercharge, your podcast for ranks, flanks, and kings of war. Join your hosts as they delve into the world of Panithor and bring you worldwide coverage of all things Kings of War.
Welcome to Countercharge. I'm Trent, back after a 3-year hiatus.
And I'm Rough Enough.
And I am Jeremy Duvall. Super excited to be back with Rob and our buddy Trent, who has been in the fatherland for I think the last couple of years, eating some schnitzel, eating some Haferflocken cookies in the morning. But excited to have Trent back. Rob and I, before the show started, we were just remembering the infamous Adepticon of 2023 when the three of us went to the Taco Bell in the middle of the night and then went back and destroyed some Adepticon hotel bathrooms. So
yes,
some fun times.
Yeah, we got a few infamous clips out of that too.
Load that bitch up.
I maybe to start us off, Trent, it's been a long time, right? Because like you said, the last few years you've been living in Germany. What the hell have you been doing?
I can't believe how long it's been. We were just talking before this, and I was finally setting up all my hobby stuff after we got moved in here, moved to Virginia for work. I was looking at my Adepticon Teams medal. Me and Krista Grow won it back in the day, and I was like, oh man, Adepticon 2024. It's been such a long time, and I was like, wait a minute, it's 2023. It's been 3 years. Couldn't believe it, honestly. But yeah, it was in Germany for a little over 3 years, I think. We just moved back in September. Yeah, I think so. This one we closed on the house, so I'm going to say September. But yeah, just finally getting the house fully unpacked now. Just got done varnishing some minis, so I'm slowly getting back into it.
It's great to have you back, and you're now in the Virginia area, right?
Yeah, there's a group. I think it's just a Richmond VA group, but there's some people from Northern Virginia that come, but I think most of them are located in Virginia. We actually have a couple. I think there's a meetup in not this weekend, but the next. So it's going to be the first time I get my get a first game of 4th edition in. And funny enough, it's good timing today. I finally just today, just a couple hours ago, I got my 4th edition stuff. So I got to check out the rule book. I got one of the kits that came with the free maps, so I'm pumped to check everything out.
It's crazy because we had a conversation many years ago about how you would just travel all around the country and in Germany, and you always found a Kings of War community. You are the poster boy for going on a trip and landing on your feet. And you were in Texas. Recount. Because you've been in a lot of different Kings of War communities, including most recently Germany.
Yep, yeah. And I was so surprised. I'm surprised every time that I meet a new group from the Kings community. Everybody just blows me away. It's a great group of guys and gals for sure. But let's see. So I was in the Army, so that's why me and my wife were both in the Army. That's why I moved around a lot. But I started in Texas, and I think it was actually, I want to say it was 2020 when I actually finally committed to buying some miniatures and actually starting the hobby. I've always been kind of a lurker, watching YouTube videos. I remember Kyle's battle reports way back in the day, before I ever started playing. I was watching those, kind of how I got started. But I met the group there in Texas in Austin, and I played my first game. Funny enough, I think it was February 2020, so that was right before COVID really kicked off, with just blank bases, and they helped me with the Army lists and everything like that. And I'm blanking on some of the names, but yeah, it was the Austin group. I know they all go to Lone Wolf, which is coming up in a little bit, right? End of April. Lone Wolf's a great event. I think I only went to it once when I was in Colorado. But to go back, so I started that in 2020. And then that summer, I moved back to Georgia. I got out of the Army, but my wife got stationed at Fort Benning, so we moved back to Georgia. And it kind of went to the wayside a little bit because I got out of the Army, was trying to figure out my life, what I wanted to do when I grow up, and all that nonsense. I kind of just got back to it. I'd always kept up with it, like I said, mostly YouTube and just reading blog posts and everything like that. But I think I just found a random event, and I told myself, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna go to this event. I didn't have anything painted. I had some stuff assembled that I had worked on back in Texas, on the tail end of when we were there in the early summer. But I signed up for, I guess it was Circle of Iron. I think it was in Alabama.
In Alabama?
I want to say, yeah.
Mike Byram's event.
Yep. Yeah, that was him. And I actually shot him a message and was like, "Hey man, I've literally never played an actual game before because I just played with blank bases, right?" I was like, "I'm thinking about showing up. I just want to see, like, as the TO, what do you think about that?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, like, come on down. Like, just tell people before you start, like, hey, I'm, brand new to the game." So I knocked out my first version of my undead army in like 3 weeks. Went to that event. I think it was like 2 or 3 hour drive. It wasn't too far away, and just like had an absolute blast. And from there, I was hooked. Like I got absolutely steamrolled. I remember, I want to say it was Nathan Clevenger with his Night Stalkers and his horde of bloodworms and the Hammer measured force. I'll never forget. Just steamrolled like 3 of my individuals all at once because that whole rule that's important to know. And then after that, we only were in Georgia for like a year. We moved to Colorado, and again, just kind of like made a Facebook post like, "Hey, I'm new to the area," and that's when I got hooked up with Garrett Mercier and Tyler Schultz, 2 great guys, and we went to a ton of events. Well, not at first. Like I played a couple of games at first, but I was working nights in Amazon, so it was brutal to try to have a life after that. But I had a gap from where like I accepted the job in Germany, but I was still waiting. So, dude, we just like went to one event after the other. I went to Lone Wolf. We went to KCGT, driving to all of them. And then we went, Bug Eater too. Bug Eater was, oh man, there's some really great events. And just getting in with the Colorado guys, like all the guys everywhere. It was just so much fun. It was like the height of my hobbying and everything. That's when I built my Forces of Nature army. But then I kind of like went back to Undead just because I kind of liked like the slow, grindy style that goes with it. Yeah, after that, it was kind of sad. I moved to Germany, and I stuck with it for a while. I mean, I was in Germany when we went to Adepticon. So, like, I flew back just to go to Adepticon, which was an amazing event. Really, really great event. But when I was in Germany, I got hooked up with a local group, some German guys who really, like, took me under their wing. And, man, I tell you what, they were good. Like, I don't think – I remember the one of the older gentlemen that I played with because he was available a lot more since he was retired. But I think we probably played like 5 or 6 times. His name was Bjorn, and he absolutely just smashed me every time. It didn't matter what army he took. He was an old fantasy holdout, so he still had his like individual guys. He had like elves, kingdoms of men, like a ton of armies, right? But he just absolutely smashed me. But the last game we played, we tied because I got lucky on a last minute charge. So I was super pumped about that. I was like, you know what, tying you, I'll take that as a win. But after Adepticon, it kind of everything kind of petered out a little bit. This was Adepticon 2023, and we had a kid too, so that throws a wrench in the hobby side of things. And I always played on and off. Chris and his the Mantic Universe podcast on there. I've been on a couple of their episodes, and they're just great guys. We played all the time. They were really into some of the other Mantic games like Dead Zone and Firefight, which Dead Zone was great. It was really, really great. And they played a lot of Armada too, so I wasn't just playing Kings of War there. But I was always, like Rob was saying at the beginning, I was astounded that I ended up in Texas, Georgia, Colorado, Germany, and now Virginia. And all it takes is I think I posted on Reddit and posted on Facebook, and I'd found a group willing to take me in under their wing. So it's awesome. I'm glad to be back into it. Now I just got to keep a little bit of the hobby motivation up. That's my life story.
That's awesome, though. Bill Richardson's from Virginia as well, who I met at the U.S. Masters. Well, we weren't playing in the U.S. Masters; we were playing in Best of the Rest. But it's great. Now, in that story, your repressed memory of bloodworms, they're not a thing anymore. They're not even in the game.
Oh, really? See, I haven't even dug that deep into 4th edition yet.
You talked about Undead. I like Undead a lot right now.
Strider on the werewolves. That immediately
they're legit.
Caught my attention. Yeah. My problem with that, and this is the reason why I strayed away from Forces of Nature, is like I said, I know myself now that I'm still I still consider myself a noob. I'm just like your regular average player. But I'd like the slower, grindy play style, like I said before, because when I was playing Forces of Nature, it was actually Garrett Mercier's list that I just copied, and he played it amazingly. He's an awesome player. But me, I would always overextend myself with the speed 10. I would get too excited about doing something, and then all of my would just get annihilated. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back to Undead, just move my legions forward and be like, all right, you come to me, and then I'll fly my whites out and send werewolves around the flanks and go from there.
So have you looked at the 4th lists at all? Is that where you're thinking you're going to maybe start with, is return to the Undead? Or have you thought about what you're going to do first?
Yeah, I actually started. I just re-upped my companion subscription After the insane price hikes. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what's funny is there's an episode that just went live 5 minutes ago with Ronnie Renton, and they actually have the annual now. They did figure out how to do annual subscriptions.
I saw that. Yeah, I was listening to the exclusive club that you sent me.
Oh, that's right, because a member of the member of the team gets pre access to these things before they actually drop. We got to check them because sometimes Matt likes to slip stuff in. I'm like, Matt, we can't say that on the public airways. This is got to be safe for children. Think of the children.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I started, was just throwing a list together. I had my 2,300 point list from Adepticon where I ran the, what was it called in third? The formations. I just, I really like the Legions of Zombies just because I think I did some cool hobby stuff for that. So I was like, and I kind of wish I wouldn't have like built them as a Legion base, but it all worked out. But I actually, I have to put it together and I have to update my individuals too before the 29th. I think that's when I get together is here. I'm building a Horde of Revenants because I've been meaning to do that for a long time. So that's kind of like what I've been working on now. But yeah, it looks great. I'm trying to decide because before I played the, just like you had your line of zombies with like the Goreblight and the Necromancer supporting them. And then I also had some zombie trolls in there. It's kind of like the core like battle group. There I had like Revenant Cav, just as some more like sturdy. You're not really going to kill anything, right? Unless you just get a good charge with them. But behind that, I had my whites that could just like fly over and just kill whatever. But now I'm very, very interested in werewolves. But it kind of goes back. So I have two lists. One like that's kind of similar to the one that I played before, like where the whites are my main hammers. But I'm very, very interested in integrating some of the werewolves. But again, I just go back to. I'm scared I'm going to like overextend myself to speed 9, but I think I just got to practice with it because I'm not used to that play style.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting that like I'm kind of okay with the, I mean, it's great that the werewolves are super good, and it's nice to see these units that maybe were overcosted or weren't that great. It's like sometimes nice to see them have their time in the sun. So it definitely seems interesting. There's a lot of units in that like 240 to 275 range, right? That are like your hammers. And I think a lot of units fall sort of in that spectrum. Another unit that's sort of like werewolves that reminds me is like the Lion Cavalry and Zerkali, right? That unit that's got 20 attacks, hits on 3s. So it's going to be really interesting to see these that have some speed, right? To see how these like faster, punchier units work. So, and I don't think a lot of people were running werewolves either. So that happens sometimes when a new unit gets buffed. You don't see them on the tabletop necessarily right away because people got to paint them up, right? So I'm curious to see what undead players are taking. Like at, we're now a week before Adepticon. At Clash at Adepticon, if we, for undead players, it's going to be really interesting to see what people are taking.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the list that come out of that. I always kind of like to look at the results and see how everybody did. But it's when I started building my list, Adam Ballard has his YouTube channel. So I was looking at, I think he did a tier list for all the armies, and he was like just praising the werewolves. So I was like, maybe I should throw I guess it's not a regiment anymore. They do troops and regiments, right? So there are no like hordes of large infantry anymore.
Yeah, it's just like what used to be a regiment, but is like half the size. They've changed the wording of it to be consistent now.
Troops and regiments rather than regiments and hordes now.
Yeah. And then, Jeremy, you're doing a Zerkali army, right?
Yeah, for the slow grow, that's what I've been working on. And it's interesting. I mean, we've seen a couple, like we saw the one Shooty Frog list that came out. And, that got fact pretty soon as far as the added cost for taking the Shooty option. I don't know, Rob, in your neck of the woods, has there been any like boogeyman lists coming out sort of in your weekly, in your meetups?
Yeah, the Salamander list is pretty good. The Commandants are really, really, really effective. Salamanders have the ability to have really stout blocks, take the Ceremonial Guard, hit them with the command that makes them go to defense 6. Those are tough, right? And then you back it up with some shooting, like the Commandants and the Gekatoa, and they're very effective, right? So I think the Force of Nature list is very good. And BCB, I mean, we got smashed by an undead player. I mean, just smashed. He was paired up with Trident Realms, and so the Trident Realms brought the Gigas, and kind of some of the chaff, and the werewolves just did their thing, man. They're like nimble, like boom, boom, boom. And I mean, they hit like a ton of bricks, man. 18-inch charge with Strider.
Yeah.
Hitting on threes with, was it Crush One?
Yeah, Crush One. They have 20 attacks now. I like how I noticed that they redid some of the attack profiles too, where it wasn't just like, oh, if you're a horde of large infantry, it's 18 attacks.
18,
no,
right?
It depends, yeah. And then, yeah, you said salamanders. I just listened to the Clash, what was it, Australia? And I think the winner took salamanders, right?
Right, Stephen Devonish.
Yeah, that was a great episode to listen to some insights from there. But I am curious because I know there were some big changes with shooting, and I thought it was interesting too. I might have been reading this wrong, but I think the Balefire catapult, which I don't know, I'm never taken it before. I painted some up just to have. It's interesting because it only hits on sixes now. Is that correct?
Well, if it's standing still and it's got reload, so you have to stand still, then you're +1 to hit, so it hits on fives. Like
okay, that's what I thought. Is that just like a general like War Machine rule?
Well, yeah, a lot of the War Machines that had reload before, now they hit on sixes, but we know that they have reload, so they have to stand still, so it moves it back to fives. Some of the other war engines, like a trombone, still hit on fours, right? And you can move and shoot without penalty now. But if you stand still, you can hit on threes. So there's some like really juicy shooting. I don't know, Jeremy. I think like things like siege artillery and cannons are still kind of like but like some of the more mobile stuff, flame belchers and the like, I think those are pretty good. I don't know what your thoughts on shooting are.
Like all through testing, it still felt like a good part of a combined arms army. I know it's pretty oppressive in that one list that Dustin was running, but with the, again, like I said, with the change to FAC, I don't even know if there's any versions of that list that's still functioning. To me, I'm still waiting to see some more tournament results. Right, I'm curious to see what comes out of Adepta Clash. To see what's sort of like floating to the top. And then they'll have an invasion book out in May, and then they'll have another one in November. And I think that when you listen to the episode with Ronnie, I think that those first couple of books, it's not, I liked hearing him say that it's not always just going to be the sort of key armies of that book that may get changes or something new, that those books are opportunities to look at everything within the game. So, if shooting still continues to be an issue, they can take a look at it. I think when it comes to the formula, right, looking at balance and point cost, I think the formula is correct in that it's doing what it was designed to do. Now, the formula, or when you're looking at formulas in general, you're applying a weight to certain stats, right? So there's still some human decision making going into the process, and you can like articulate and think about, are there certain type of units that inside the formula are over or under costed? I think that's something that we still gotta look at. And as Ronnie said, I think they really wanted to come out of the gate with the core rules correct, and balance can always come after. I know Ronnie was out here in San Francisco. We went and hung out, which was pretty cool, and went and got some food in Napa. And like that was like my 2 cents to him was double down on your world. The core rules are strong. Now take a look at, you can always balance. You can always take a look at things. It's a lot harder to fix. I don't know what you think, Rob. It's a lot harder to fix core rules than it is to tweak balance. So I'm glad that a lot of the energy went into the core rules design.
They can always fix the lists, right? They can always adjust units, and they've already got the vehicle, 2 books a year, right, coming out. And yes, they're gonna overhaul potentially 4 of the lists, but there's still an opportunity. And I really did like the fact that he brought up, he said, hey, I think it's a misconception that there's only going to be updates to 4 armies in there. I mean, if there's units that need to be tweaked, or maybe we'll see Bloodworms come back at some point, right? I mean, they'll use that as an opportunity. And
I would be completely fine if they never came back.
Me too. To be fair, I think if they made models for them, they probably would come back, right? I think that's part of the thing. But I was
gonna say, we were talking about Undead. My boy Morgoth. You think he's gonna come back?
I think so. I mean, in Helpy's Rith, we lost Namagrok, and I think eventually they all come back, right? And it's not, we've been playing Kings of War for 16 years at this point. they've ebbed and flowed, and sometimes some of the characters leave, or sometimes they change quite a bit, right? Like if you think of who's your favorite Twilight Kin superhero there, Jeremy?
Oh, Raphael.
Yeah, she's changed a lot. And then your the guy that's now on the 50mm base, the big giant guy who used to be crazy killy in first edition. So,
what is your sense, Rob? How are you liking the change to base size on individuals?
It extends things like auras. It extends the inspiring. And I think it looks better too. You have an opportunity, and Trent has got to convert a bunch of stuff to a bigger base. War Chest Creations, Tim Lonis has little MDF base kits that you have the base, and there's like a little tray you can drop it in. So I highly recommend it if you need to upsize, just buy some of the kits and just glue them together. Yeah,
it's funny. All of my bases are from Tim Lonis, another great dude in the community. I was thinking I think I'm just going to glue mine on top, honestly, and just base around it.
He's got new ones now that have all the magnets built in.
Oh, dude.
Oh, that's what I use. The ones that have the holes already drilled.
And if you're still drilling your own magnet holes at this point, like nobody got time for that.
When I first started, I used like an actual, I can't remember the name of it. The dudes in Texas kind of turned me on to it. Like the bases themselves were already the magnet sheet. But the tops, like it was still thick, like a normal base would be. But the top was just plastic.
Was it Shogun Miniatures?
Yes, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. But I found that they like flexed too much. So then when I met Tim the first time, he was like telling me everything he did. And then I think when I was in Germany, I just did like a massive order of any base size I could ever need. And it kind of paid off because this was kind of like a last minute thing that I wanted to get my new list ready for this upcoming game. And I had everything in a box. So it was a big shout out to Tim there.
Tim's a great guy, and I like the fact that when you ask him for something that he doesn't currently make, he figures it out and he puts it up on his site, and you can, he's always adding to the selection of product. But Trent, you kind of had an absence from the hobby, really, right?
Yeah.
And like, what did you do to stay connected to Kings of War, or did you not? You just, you had other priorities. Like, but did you stay connected during that absence?
Yeah, I definitely did. I was, like I said, I'm a class A social media lurker, so I'm like in all the Facebook groups. I never really post anything, but I'm always kind of keeping a finger on the pulse, right? And then I don't really. It's kind of weird. I don't really watch TV. Like I just watch YouTube. So like I have my normal YouTube channels that I follow, and obviously listen to you guys too. So actually, it's kind of weird. Fourth edition came out. God, was it? It was like November it came out.
November, December. Yeah. Books started showing up.
And I'd been listening to everything. So, I knew it was coming out, obviously. But I was kind of turned off of it a little bit just because I had been out of the game so long. And I heard about all these changes coming. But it's kind of the typical story of like, don't believe everything you hear on the internet. People are like, oh, it's going to be a completely different game. They have like all these commands. It's going to like change the nature of Kings of War and everything like that. But I finally, when I sat down and took a look at it, like really all I did was just open up the companion and start building a list. And I was like, oh, like this makes sense. Right. And then I had to read up a little bit more on the shooting side of it. I think, Mantic actually had some blog posts that they did before they published fourth edition about some of the major changes, which were super helpful. But then honestly, I got more excited than anything because it just kind of gave, like you can't see it, but I have, in third edition, I have 10,000 points of undead sitting beside me right now. So I kind of already have like the stuff to mix and match, right? So being able to do that in a fresh lens, and list building is like one of my favorite things about the hobby because it's something you could do, like at work or in your free time or whatever. You don't have to be like sitting down, airbrushing or painting. So it's cool to start kind of thinking in that mindset again. And then going through my old models, I had actually found some stuff that I had painted already, but I never based. So I'm like, oh, dude, this is perfect. I need a regiment of zombies instead of the legion that I have. Like I have it, I'm just going to put it together. But if anything, I think the edition change is really what motivated me to like really get back into the hobby because I was like, it really was just a breath of fresh air. And I love seeing all the players who are way better than me. They're just like good players, like their take on everything. It's really, really interesting. And I think that's, the edition change is great. I'm sure that, there's some growing pains. I'm sure I'm going to have some issues with dealing with some of the stuff, but at the core of the game, it's still Kings of War. Like it's still a simple game on the surface, right? easy to learn,
Yeah.
hard to master, like we always say. So just getting that breath of fresh air has got me really excited. This is the most excited I've been since Adepticon, honestly, 2023. So I'm pumped to
It's
get
a
back
long
into it.
time.
I know, dude. Rob, you want to know something sad? When we were there, and you were making fun of me for spending money in the vendor hall because I bought an Iwata airbrush. I have
Mm-hmm.
never even hooked it up until
Oh
3 days ago.
no.
I've never even
No.
used it, man. In fact,
Goodness.
I got the Iwata the brush. I got the Eclipse, and I got the compressor, and it had been so long. Like I literally just bought it, and then it sat on the shelf for 3 years. You know, minus the move back and everything
Mm-hmm.
like that. But it'd been so long since I even looked at it that I lost the hoses. So I just had to buy it. Yeah, had to buy some new fittings and stuff. But it was cool. It works like a charm.
You've been out so long that I started with the Neo, that a brush that I bought there with you, a kit, right?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
have moved on to the Eclipse. I have the Ninja compressor, so like I'm all about Iwata airbrushes now. And I've actually used my airbrush, and I've actually, I don't know how I did it, but I broke my compressor, went kaput, so I've got to buy a new one. So I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's can't go wrong with that. Now, interesting, you've been out of the hobby long enough though. You missed the whole command dice kerfuffle, right?
Funny you say that. I had done the order for the rule book kit that we were talking about. I just did it direct through Mantic because I don't really have a game store in Williamsburg that has a lot of Mantic stuff. It's a smaller game store. It's mostly just like Magic and Warhammer and stuff like that. So I decided just to do a Mantic direct order. I was like, hey, I'll just get the free map, and order the. I like having the artifact and spell cards. But after I clicked, I waited like a day to do the order, and I was like, oh man, I want to make sure I don't forget anything because, it might take a little bit to ship coming from the UK. And as soon as I clicked submit, I was like, oh, what about the command dice? But I was so happy to see that it's not, it took a little bit of reading for me to understand it, but it's like, oh, you just roll 2 or 3 dice. So they introduced command dice in like 3.5, right? Effectively.
It was the last Clash of Kings book.
Was there like backlash from that?
I think the reaction was mixed, is the best thing I can say, right? On one hand, I think there were some people that were just like, man, another resource to manage, right? Because you didn't just get the commands, you had to like roll the resources and save up the swords and then spend them, right?
Yeah.
And that's now gone. You just roll the dice, and if you hit the numbers you need, then you get it. I think also this is still kind of a problem, I think, a little bit in that the commands aren't all created equal. We talked about the Strider command that that Force of Nature have. It's a great command, right? And then there's other ones that maybe are a little bit less like something that gives you stealthy. It's like, okay. And there's also some commands that are very, what do they call it now? It's not keywords. It's right. So like commands are very specific to only certain traits.
Only certain units. Yeah.
Yeah. And, and other ones are just open. So there's that. So, I think commands, where they ended up with 4th edition, I think are great. And I think over time, we're going to see them kind of clean them up a little bit, maybe make them a little bit more flavorful. And, in the episode of Ronnie, he mentioned that he look to the November book as maybe there'll be a bit of an overhaul of some of the commands. So, I guess one of the criticisms that are still in place is that, some people feel like, well, when we had command dice, they had generic ones. And then they had army specific ones. And maybe we need some of those generic ones that are like always kind of useful, like a free get a wound back or reroll an attack, that kind of thing.
The general pool of command orders that everyone has access to. Yeah.
Yeah.
That could be a good idea.
Going back to what we were talking about with like 4th edition in general, is I think that just because each army only has 2 right now, I think.
Except for the ones in the first book. Those have more, right?
Yeah, but I think they did a good idea of like, some of them are really good, others are just average, like whatever, but like laying the groundwork to modify that in the future. Like I would be really interested to see what it looks like a year from now and see kind of how, like which paths they've taken, because I'm not sure, because I haven't played yet, so I'm not entirely sure yet. But like the one where you can make a shambling unit non-shambling for a turn, like that's pretty cool. If it might not be game changing, but like I think that's pretty cool,
Yeah, if you have the bottom of the turn and you need that shambling unit to go the full distance, to get the objective or the token, right? I mean, for sure.
Yeah, and I like the additional pivot and all the moves too. I think that's pretty interesting.
Have you played a game yet, or you just?
No, I haven't played a game. I'm trying to I do really well with deadlines. When I don't have a deadline, my hobby stuff doesn't get done. The Richmond group had this meetup together. It's just informal. It's just, some casual games. This meetup scheduled for the 29th. And I was like, oh man, I don't think I'm going to make it because work for me and my wife this month have like been crazy trying to figure out watching our daughter and everything. But I finally was just talking to her one night and I was like, I think I'm going to do it. I'm just going to like force myself to get this Horde of Revenants done and rebase my individuals and just, get a game under my belt. So that way, the next time I come on a Countercharge podcast, I can talk a little more educatedly about 4th edition than I am now.
He brings up a good point, Rob. And I think returning to the hobby, that's almost like an episode in and of itself, right? Like strategies or tools or things to do maybe when you're returning to the hobby after a long time. Any of that like resonates with you, kind of like maybe not starting with a huge army project, but if you have an unfinished unit, or maybe you go slow to go fast, start with a small unit, or what do you think about that when you're first returning to the hobby?
Well, I'm in it right now, right? With work, I don't have time to hobby very much. And so I'm trying to keep up with the slow grow. But you bring up a good point. Like if, my airbrush has been out of commission for a while, like 6 months. And that really has slowed slowed everything down. Because if you can airbrush, you can prime quickly. Doesn't matter what the weather's like. You can varnish quickly. I mean, and my BCB army for last year, I mean, it was a lot of airbrush to get things up to a certain level. And then, especially on like the display board and stuff, maybe we have to do an episode on this because I am struggling with being able to prioritize the right amount of time. You sort of have to make a commitment, right? Like I'm going to lock in and give myself this amount of time, but at the same time, you have to be motivated, right? Like if you don't, if you lose your mojo, it's like, I know I've dedicated this hour per night or whatever, but I don't feel like it. And there's other things that maybe, in the very small amount of free time I have, it's like, oh, I have, I got to hang a new fan for my wife or, whatever.
I hear you, man. My stepson has baseball, so I'm at baseball 3 times a week. That it is tough, and Trent talked about having a new baby, sometimes prioritizing or scheduling in life becomes so important.
100%.
Yeah. I'm curious though, what's changed in your hobby? You had all the stuff packed away, you weren't painting, and now you've got it all back out. Anything new? Any new techniques? Any new things you're thinking about bringing to the table?
So I have some ideas, but I'm referring to my old paint notes. Thank God I saved everything.
Oh, well, that's good.
Yeah, to get the units that I have now up to the same standard level. Well, not really same level, just like look similar, like cohesive as an army. The models that I have are painted a little bit differently, just because I did it like at a different time. But I'm going to what's the word? Like standardize, consolidate them, like based on their basing. And so I actually had some leftover 3D prints that I used for basing bits, like way back in Adepticon. So the first thing I painted was just some statues for some like basing bits. So honestly, nothing new right now. I have some ideas about what I want to do, but really just like focusing on my old techniques to get kind of back in the groove and be like, oh yeah, that's what dry brushing is, and that's what a wash does. But honestly, I think getting into airbrushing was the best thing for me in the hobby because I absolutely love it. Like it's just so satisfying. And I'm still just a dry brush novice. Like honestly, all I really do with it is like prime and base coat. But it's so satisfying to me. Like don't get me wrong, brushwork is one thing, right? Like, but there's just something so satisfying about the airbrush.
Mm-hmm.
It makes really boring tasks super awesome.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and then also like you can really play with some of the, if you want like a nice gradation, like you want to blend stuff in on like big pieces of terrain and stuff. It's hard to beat the airbrush, man. It really is.
I really love shooting inks in an airbrush. It's so satisfying. It's such a good way to kind of get that gradient that you were talking about. But kind of for like, because I feel like I have a ton of undead, so I want to finish up to get like to this point. And who knows, like maybe it'll change whenever I want to add new units because I have a ton of undead, but I don't have any vampires right now. Well, I'm going to stretch it. It's probably just a troop, but I'm going to try to stretch it to a revenant of just the Soul Reaver infantry, just to have to play around with. But after that, I think I'm going to be looking at doing another army because I have the Forces of Nature, the list that I was talking about, but it's such an old list. I mean, I think it's 4 years old. That it's not legal anymore. I don't think it's not even 2,300 points. So I'm really kind of at a crossroads right now. It's like, do I go back to Forces of Nature and kind of like stick with it, or do I like look for another army?
Yeah, I mean, Force of Nature is going to be in the next book, so just wait.
Okay.
So just wait and see where that army ends up, because I have a feeling they're really good now, and they're probably going to change, right? I mean, they are really good. I mean, woodland creatures are good, dude, and guardian brutes are good. Like, the herd stuff is out of control, man. Like, it's again, played a very tough herd army at Blue City Brawl. That's a great army. So in terms of the new models, is anything jumping out at you? Because they have some great new plastics and more coming.
Dude, the entire Zerkali range is just kind of blowing my mind. Like, it's the gorgeous sculpts. I've seen some finished armies for it, so I'm interested in that. And it also is like, it kind of feels like it is a little more similar to Undead, just because it has the wolf sub theme going on in it. So I definitely have my eye on that. But I don't know. I don't know if I want to jump right into the new one. But who knows?
Are you a dog guy or a cat guy?
I think both are equal, but I do have 2 cats. I don't have any dogs, though.
Okay. All right. We'll hold it against you.
Yeah.
We'll hold it against you. Yeah, yeah. No, but what's cool about the Zerkali, they got the new alternate heads. So they have a bunch of different dog breeds that you can mix it up a little bit. By the way, are you 3D printing at all?
No, I don't have it set up.
Oh, so you did, though, before, right?
Yeah. I was the only thing it was so I did most of it for multi-basing. So a lot of resin prints and little bits and bobs and stuff like that. But I don't really have a good place to put it. And now that I have a kid in the house, I don't really want to do the resin printing.
Do it outside or in the garage or something. Yeah.
I actually have some coworkers that are really into their FDM printers. Like, they don't do miniature wargaming, but they're printing all kinds of other stuff. And I'm really surprised at the quality of FDM prints nowadays.
Jeremy saved himself thousands of dollars by going and buying his own printer rather than keep buying from the guy from where was he from? Was he from the UK? Where was he from?
Yeah. I've been working on printing my new hobby table setup. It's a series of modules called the Painter's Fortress. So I've been working on that. I need to post some pictures of that in the Facebook. Do you have in your new place, Trent, do you have like a spot where you can set up like a permanent hobby area? Are you still sort of doing a hobby out of a shoebox, or what's happening with like your hobby setup?
I have like a pseudo permanent place right now. It's a folding table in the garage, but honestly, it's a lot nicer than I thought it would be. And the reason I did that is because I airbrushed inside when we were back in Germany. Like, it was in the basement, so it was away from everything. And I have like an office because I work from home from time to time. I'm sitting in right now, where the idea was to have the hobby set up here, but I don't know if I want to deal with the airbrushing in there. And honestly, I'm kind of fine with being in the garage. The temperature changes don't matter as much as like when you're using a rattle can, because obviously it's unheated. But I'm pretty happy with what it is right now. And I got it set up in like not even a day. So that's where I'm at right now. But definitely looking to see how it modifies in the future. It was funny. I had to bring some of my old paints back to life that had been in storage for 3 years, basically. But hey, everything worked fine. I didn't have to buy anything new. Yeah, thank God for the Army Painter mixing balls. And then I got one of the like little vibrator things.
Vortex shakers.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. The first thing that I had to do to make the garage work, though, was to get a good light to snap onto the table, though.
You're in like what I would call the Jeremy glow right now, though. Jeremy loves setting up hobby spaces. And so that's what you're in that mode. So you're probably
like one of my favorite things to have like a well-designed hobby. That's like part of the hobby for me is like, I really love the idea of like a workshop. Like, I love watching on YouTube. I don't know if you ever watched Tested, Rob.
The guy from Mythbusters, Adam.
Yeah, and he like always making things, and he just looks. It's like there's nothing happier than it's a Saturday or a Sunday. All your stuff's done. Your kids are at their whatever, and you're in your workshop and you're working on your little stuff. You got a TV or something going on in the back room. It's like, in today's world, you got to find the places in your life that bring you joy. I think it's time, in life to find some joy. So hobbying is always that for me, I think.
Very well said.
So you've been going crazy. Is your wife like, hey, dude, you got a kid now? Are you budgeting for this now?
No, honestly, yes, absolutely. It's a very deliberate scheduling, like we talked about before. But my wife's just pumped that I'm getting back into it, honestly, because I think she thinks it puts me in a better mood, which there may be some truth to that.
100%.
And the thing about it is, and me and Chris Thomas talked about this a lot. It's like when you're painting, I don't want to use like dissociate, but you're just focused on the task at hand. You're not worried about all the shit going on, all the crazy stuff going on, and family and bills and all that stuff.
It's a form of meditation,
Exactly. And it's really nice. And I love working with my hands. Like my first big boy job when I was in high school was I was a CNC machinist. And now I work in IT. So, I guess if you count typing on a keyboard, working with your hands, that's fine. So I kind of get that fix from the hobby as well. So it's kind of the same thing you were talking about with the workshop, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons I like airbrushing too, is because it's like, okay, it's time to break it apart and clean it. You feel like a mechanic trying to put all the stuff back together, not break anything.
List building. Have you tried the tool, like the new list building process for 4th edition?
It took a little bit to understand. I think it wasn't really understanding like what it was, but just kind of the differences. Like I think if I came into it not having played as much as I did in 3rd edition, it wouldn't have been as confusing, if that made sense, because I was kind of like set in the old mindset. That's why Forces of Nature kind of threw me off. I was like, what was it? I think I think the fire elementals are not like a core choice anymore. So trying to balance that. But I ended up for both lists, for undead at least, because I made like a White's hammer list and a Werewolf's hammer list. For both of them, I ended up just doing 1 battalion at the 2,300 point level. I think that's kind of like the average from what I've seen. But I thought it was pretty fun because it felt a little bit more like a puzzle, because you can't like bring all of the toys, right? So it's kind of making those concessions and making the difficult choices, and that's kind of what makes list building fun, in my opinion. So that's why I'm curious to see too. And I guess I better double check before I show up to this event. I think it's 2,300 points, but I'm curious to see where the like default point level is in the States after everybody gets some games under their belt. Because Adepticlash is 2,300, right?
Correct.
No, I'm curious, Rob. I know you and I, we kind of haven't got a lot of games in yet with 4th. What are you feeling, Rob?
Well, I've been playing a lot of 2,500 points, but at Blue City, we played essentially 2,400 because it's 1,200 point armies. I think the answer is somewhere between 23 and 2,500 points. I don't know. I think I'm really excited to hear the results of Adepticlash and hearing what people thought about it, because I actually kind of like 2,300 points. It's a little bit less. You have to make a little bit tougher choices. 2,500, it feels like it's the old 2,300. You could just take what you want. Maybe not all the characters you want, because that's a little pricey. But I don't know. I don't have enough experience at the different levels. I mean, I've played a lot of 2,500, and it's not terrible. But I'm excited to have other people run events.
So this Masters is going to be super interesting too, right? As the first Masters of a new edition. So it's going to be really exciting to see what people take.
What people played to get to Masters is not really what they're playing now, right? Because the armies are so different and the list construction is so different, and the game has got a lot of different features. So it'll be really interesting to see, this will be the year where something crazy is going to probably happen, right? Someone's going to really find that one little thing, that little wrinkle that really like catches people out, maybe. Right, because we haven't had a lot of time playing.
The game is not solved by any point. I mean, I think towards the end of 3rd, there wasn't a lot of mysteries. There wasn't a lot of Da Vinci codes to solve or Lost Ark of the Covenants to find. People knew what was good. So I think now we're in a completely new environment where it's not as clear right now. You know what I mean?
So are you excited? You're going to be playing with the guys in Virginia. What do you got planned? Is that going to become a normal like monthly thing, or what's the plan for you, Trent?
Yeah, I just joined the group a couple of weeks ago. I think it's been a couple of weeks. I honestly can't remember, but I think they do pretty regular like casual meetups, and then I know there's some region events too. But I need to get a little more in tune with that to see what's going on, because I would really, really like to go to, I don't know, maybe like 2 events per year, like one of the really big ones where I have to travel for, like a Lone Wolf, Bug Eater, or Adepticon, and then maybe 1 or 2 more local ones. I got to make it down to Memphis at some point too. I still haven't done that, so I want to go around. It's hard because I want to try new events, because I know just from playing the game, like at Adepticon, I met a bunch of people that, some of the that were like the TOs for some of the big regional events. So I want to like try new ones, but then it's also like, well, do I want to try a new one, or like, do I want to go to Bug Eater again? Because so I don't know. There's a lot of good opportunities out there. And then I've still never been to Masters, obviously not like actual Masters, but Best of the Rest. So I want to make it out to there at some point too. But it's all just about getting it scheduled so it fits in with work and family and life and everything like that.
Yeah. Do you think you guys are like back, or are you your type of job or career? Could you be sent to Europe again, or where do you guys think as far as like trying to set some roots down?
Yeah, I'd like so me and my wife are nomads, definitely. And I think that was just from us both being in the army. But I think with where we are now, because we're close to a lot of my wife's family, her family's never been in the same time zone before, except like 20 years ago. So I think we're going to be here for the foreseeable future, like at least 3, 4, 5 years. But honestly, I have, 5 years from now, who knows where we end up? Probably not going back overseas. We had a good time in Germany, met some amazing people over there. It was good for the career. We did a ton of traveling, especially in the first year that we were there. But we were really, really happy to be back in the States. Very, very happy.
And we're glad to have you back into the
Well, thank
fold,
you.
right? Yeah, it's been like a few years coming, because I would touch in like, hey, what's going on? You're like, I'm not playing Kings of War. It was sort of, you were connected, through social media or maybe
Yeah.
podcasts or YouTube, but you weren't actively engaged. But it was a nice, conversation in the fall last year when you're like, I'm back, baby. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Right. And it takes a little time for you to get settled into your new digs and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Jeremy, and the good thing, sorry, I should have said this at the end. The good thing about the job I'm in is, like I work in Richmond right now, but there are, I think just off the top of my head, like 10 different places I could go if I wanted to. So don't have to move, at least not anytime soon. So I have some freedom,
Well, that's
in that
good.
aspect too. Yeah. Yeah. It's good. It's a good opportunity.
And it's good when you have a young family or young kids. Me and Stacy were just talking about this last night, because I have my sister here, but then the rest of my family is in Texas, where Stacy has all her family here. When you have a young kids or a young family, having those relatives, not only is it nice to be around them just to be around them, but having help, raising
Oh, dude.
kids and having a
Yes.
family is really freaking hard, man. So having just help is really nice.
Yeah, it's been like my in-laws are just godsends, like just helping out. It's so nice. I don't know. It's funny. This is Casey's probably gonna laugh at this if she makes it this far in the episode. But when we were when she was still pregnant with our daughter, we were in Germany, obviously, and we were going to the doctor, and we was like, it was getting really close to delivery time, and she was midwives are really big in Germany, and it's not super common in the States, at least it's not as common over there. Like the midwives will actually like come to your house in Germany to like do the weights and stuff, whereas like in the States you'd more likely have to go into the office to do it. But we weren't planning on doing it because we're ignorant to everything, because it was our first kid and everything like that. But I just remember the doctor asked us in one of the appointments, she's like, oh, have you guys got a midwife yet? Thank God this doctor spoke English. And me and Casey were like, no, I think we're just going to do it. She was like, you're just going to do it by yourself? She's like, you're in Germany. Your family is in America. Like you have no one. Like just typical German bluntness. And we're like, okay. Thanks for letting us know. But yeah.
Nine.
But yes.
9.
Yeah.
Is 9 sehr gut.
To sum it up, yeah, being close to family for the first time in a long time has just been wonderful.
I think about some of the things you said to me that like really resonate is one of the things we love about the hobby, right? Is the actual things, right? Like the playing the games and having the fun, the things you can hold in your hands. But another great thing about the hobby we always talk about is the community. There's not a lot of hobbies that you can have that no matter where you go in the country or the world, you can go do a couple posts on a group, and next thing you know, you're out there meeting new people. So that's always such a cool aspect of the hobby, that it can come with you in your life. whether you're moving on in your life, family or business or career or location. I've had friends in the hobby that as soon as they have kids, they're like, oh, I can't hobby anymore. Or I got into, the hobby can come with you in your life wherever you go. It's just about making time and scheduling. But I think that's so cool.
Yeah, that's well said, man. And I mean, just going back to the group that I was in Germany, I think, Rob, you linked me up with Chris Thomas when I first moved over there. I mean, within the first week of me showing up, he invited me to his house, let me use his army, like really just like took me under his wings, and it was awesome to be a part of that group. And I think that's really rare because honestly, I think, well, I think it's safe to say everybody on this call and probably everybody listening, we're just a bunch of big nerds at heart, right? And don't get me wrong, I love the game. Kings of War is an amazing game. But honestly, the best times that I've had at these events are just hanging out with the people, just talking after the game, shooting the shit, whatever it is. So really the community is like the big draw. And that's something that's hard to find in a lot of games nowadays.
I think we're going into a really great time of Kings of War. As Jeremy said, the game's not solved. There's a lot of opportunity for experimentation and trying new things. There's going to be a few years of just getting new armies lists together, right? And, there's a couple years of a couple books a year coming out where you're going to see a lot more plastic. I mean, Jeremy, there's been a lot more plastic in like the last 6 months than in a long time, right? And I'm excited to see.
Yeah, and not only Kings, we have Epic Warpath, which is awesome. Firefight is cool. Mantic's making a lot of really cool games right now. And the more eyes that get on Mantic and Mantic games, the better it is for Kings. So I think this is going to be a good year, and it's a good time in general to be into miniature wargaming. I just want Mantic just to continue to really double down on their world. I love world building. And every time I talk to guys at the store, what attracts them to a game is they want to look at the box and see the miniatures and think about the army and what does it do? What's their story? And then they ask you about the game. Right? No one's ever looking at a wall full of miniatures and their first question that I've noticed with new players is which game has the most balanced rule set? It's which game has the coolest models, are the funnest story, are the most engaging marketing or whatever. So, and I love that they're trying to do that in these invasion books, is have more narrative, create the worlds that we want to play in. I really think it's one of like the maybe the missing pieces or the pieces they can double down on. I don't know. What do you think, Rob? If you're in a store with someone and you're trying to get a new player, you want to be able to take them to the shelf, show them the product, and have them be like, oh man, these are so cool.
Yes, we want to have that opportunity to take someone to the shelf. And I know they're still not 100% everywhere, right? The distribution's not great yet, but still, like our store has some inventory. And so when somebody gets a demo or they've seen us playing, we can walk over to the shelf and no pressure. It's like, hey, this is, if you're ever interested, here's the different armies they have. And you can give them a little primer on, like, I always tell people when they ask me like what army to play, I say, what army do you want to paint? Because that's like ultimately, if you don't like the army, the models, you're gonna hate life.
Yeah, I'll always ask someone like, what's your favorite play style? Do you like a punchy thing? Do you like a defensive thing? And then what kind of models do you like the look of? Right? Because it's so true. We spend more time with our armies painting and assembling sometimes than we ever spend with them playing. So if you hate the way they look, you're probably not going to enjoy the game very much.
I think that's especially true for newer players, like not necessarily when I say newer, I mean like new to tabletop wargaming, is just go with the rule of cool. Like you're going to learn the rules, you're going to learn the play style as you go. But I think if you have a little bit of experience with tabletop wargaming, like maybe you want to consider like the play style a little bit, because you probably know a little bit more about yourself. It's like, okay, maybe I don't want the speed finesse army, maybe I just want the grindy army. But yeah, that's the way to go. Funny enough, the main reason I started with Undead was because I found a speed painting video where it was like 3 steps, and I was like, oh, you can paint 40 zombies in like 10 hours. And I'm like, all right, sold.
Sign me up.
Yeah.
So do you have like a first event or a first convention or something sort of on your radar that you think is going to be your sort of welcome back to the larger community?
Yeah, I need to get into it. Really, I've just been focused kind of on the short term on getting to this meetup with the Richmond, Virginia crew. and see what's going on, just to meet everybody. I'm pumped to meet everybody. I think there's like 20 guys in the group or something like that. But then after that, I want to put something on the calendar, kind of like what I was talking about before. It's just like, hey, put a pin in it, right? Add it on the calendar and say like, hey, I'm going to go to this, and then go from there. Probably, I really hate flying with my army, even though I was able to fly from Germany to Chicago with no issues with the undead army, because I just built it like there's so much super glue on it, right? Even if you dropped it, it would be fine. Not like Rob's ogres. But
to be fair, they're still fine. I actually just played them at BCB a few weeks ago, so no, they're still great.
I had forgotten about that, man. Oh my god, I couldn't believe it. We had just joked about it too.
And I was like, hey, it's not the salamanders. I would have killed you if it was salamanders, but it's the ogres. They're rustic. They'll bounce back.
Right? Yeah. But Jeremy, actually, do you have any recommendations? I don't know if you're familiar with like this events in this area.
Oh my god, I can't believe I'm spacing Rob. The name of the convention that we had Masters in when we played in DC?
Nova
is a big convention in that area. When is that, Nova?
Usually Labor Day weekend, right?
September. Yeah, you should maybe look at that, because that's you said you're in Virginia, right?
Yeah. Right outside of Richmond. Well, I'm in Williamsburg, yeah.
So this is pretty close to you. It's September 2 to 6, 2026. It's called the Nova Open. I don't know. Just double check to see if they're going to have a Kings event there. I know the Mid-Atlantic guys have been doing a lot of stuff. And that's where we had Masters 2 years ago. And they have a bunch of miniature. It's kind of like a mini Adepticon, I would say. It has that same vibe as like maybe a more GW focused multi-game system event. Check out Nerdhammer GT. I'm not quite sure when that is, but that's another one with the Mid-Atlantic guys, the Nerdhammer crew. I think that's probably in your neck of the woods too.
Yeah, Trent, have you reached out to Alex Chavez yet? He's in like that area as well. He's maybe closer to DC, but yeah, he's your Mid-Atlantic chairman.
I know there's some Baltimore guys like Jake Hutton would be because I know Jake's not.
Well, Jake doesn't play no more, right?
Well, I think his brother. I think Jake is actually. I talked to him the other day. I think he's actually playing. He's just not podcasting. So,
okay, all right. But to be fair, Noah's the more handsome of the two brothers, right?
Well, that's just true.
That's just fact. And that is important. If you're gonna, you want the eye candy across the table, right?
So, yeah. I mean, if only you could play both of them at the same time. They need to go play like in a teams tournament. The brothers unite.
Exactly.
But the Mid-Atlantic is a good spot over the last couple of years for Kings of War. It has really been growing, I think. Marcelo's another guy, Mid-Atlantic sort of. Atlantic City, the ACO, which is another Atlantic City Open, another frontline gaming event that they've been doing Kings of War stuff at. So you're actually returning to like a good spot in the country, I think.
That's the story of tonight, right? Like he always like drops in parachutes. Boop. He's like, oh, I'm in another Kings of War hotbed.
I think it's just because of my natural charisma, honestly.
My boyish good looks.
But people can't see this, but you shaved off the really great World War II era mustache. You look like a GI.
I don't know. I think it was from being in the Army. I've tried growing out my beard so many times, but I can't stand it. I think the longest I made it was like 6 months one time, but it always just ends up like bothering me. I just can't do it. I'll do it for some laughs every now and then. Hey, maybe Rob, the next time we meet up in an event, maybe I'll grow out the mustache just for you.
Love it. We love it. Just for me.
Nerdhammer, they have a Facebook group. I'd go join that group. Go join the Mid-Atlantic Kings of War group on Facebook if you're not already joined up there.
Yeah, Loaded Dice, the Chuck Dudek's event, that's in the area as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's
a lot of great stuff in the Mid-Atlantic.
I'm writing all these down.
Yeah, there was just like a lot of good.
I don't know how far you are from the Carolinas. You're a little farther, right? So
it's actually not as far as you would think. I think it's like 2 or 3 hours to the Outer Banks. So
Carolina Cryptid, there's an event down there. So there's a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, last time they did Nerdhammer GT was in Grantville, Pennsylvania. Is that far? Is Pennsylvania?
That's dry. It would be a drive, but I don't think it would actually be as bad.
If you haven't, I'm sure you already have joined the Mid-Atlantic Kings of War page.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
There's a lot of great there. And I mean, reach out to Alex Chavez, man.
Yeah,
the
I wrote that down.
old master from Chicago. Have him be like, hey, man, let's find some time to hook up, man. Play some games.
Yeah.
If you really want to get your butt stomped, there's the guy to play.
Hey, that's the only way to get better, right? That's what I keep telling myself.
And to be fair, no one takes the beating like Trent ever.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? It all works out in the tournaments when you play 2 days, because it's like, you know what? You might lose really bad for your first game and your second game, but normally on the second day it kind of evens out and you're just there to have a good time.
And I know he's in Mid-Atlantic, Rob, because I'm looking in the Mid-Atlantic page, right? And Trent's in here asking questions.
Oh, was that the Legion question for the zombies?
Yes, it was. Yeah. I like to see the Nerdhammer guys are back doing, at least they're not really podcasting again, but they're doing YouTube battle reports, which are cool. So definitely, and they have those links if you're wanting some recent. They have been some rounds from the Fully Loaded GT.
Oh, they post in the subreddit a lot, I think.
And those are all posted in those battle reports are all in the Mid-Atlantic Facebook group too.
Yeah, let's give a shout out to Steve Hildrew. Did an amazing learn to play Kings of War 4th edition in 20 minutes on Death by Dragons.
Matt Croger and I'm curious, I would love for the audience to let us know if they're interested in this. Matt Croger and I have been thinking about trying to get some 4th edition games on Universal Battle and just live streaming them of just another way to kind of come hang out, do some games, and then that way we can get some more content for our YouTube channel. So, let us know if that's something you guys are interested in, and we're going to try to get that going.
Well, awesome. It's been way too long since the last time we've had you on. It's been great.
Just so happy to have you back, dude. You're a cool dude, just like real positive, good force in the hobby, and really excited to have you back on home shores.
And on Countercharge.
It honestly feels like it's weird because it's been 3 years. We're just talking about how long it is, but honestly, just from like our call here, I feel like I never left, which is awesome.
I feel like I got a taco in each hand already. With the appropriate,
they're all loaded.
Yeah, with the appropriate amount of cheese, which is a key element of a taco. So,
what we should do though, Trent, is as you're getting into this and you're learning to play Kings and you're hobbying, we got to record more of these episodes and get kind of like a, record this.
Yeah, absolutely.
History in the making, right?
I might be hitting you guys up about which second army I should do, because I really do want to do demo games. I'd like to. If they still call it the Pathfinder program, I'm not sure. I really like getting out in the community, because honestly, I mean, selfishly, it's like, why would you not? If you can find somebody to play with, 15 minutes down the road, that's awesome. But I always, I played a lot in the local game stores when I was in Colorado with Tyler and Garrett, and every single time we would play, the 40K crew was in there. We would always have somebody come up and be like, "Ooh, what's this?" And we're like, let us tell you a little bit about this.
Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep countercharging.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Countercharge. Please let us know what you thought of the show by emailing us at counterchargepodcast@gmail.com, on Twitter @countercharge15, or by commenting on the Countercharge Kings of War podcast Facebook group. If you enjoy the show, you can help others find out about it by leaving positive reviews on iTunes. Until next time, keep countercharging. Music is a composition of Kevin MacLeod and is licensed under Creative Commons.